All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Bella Grumner, and I'm the founder of Beachy Buddies. It's about dogs. But first, I'd like to share with you guys how I got here, and that starts with this old girl right here, Sandals. She was my first client. She was an elderly dog with a failing kidney and separation anxiety from her owner. So I was very scared to say yes to booking this dog. It didn't help that her owner had mentioned that, with her age and condition, there's a chance. Well, he's tough to say, if she doesn't make it, here's who you should call on the way. So again, very nerve-wracking, but I sat her for the weekend and it went really well. And then I came back the next weekend and the next, and after 5 or 6 weekends in a row in Sandals, they didn't need me anymore, weren't traveling. But the owner took time to say that since your time was stable, she's been eating her medicated food more regularly. She's not having accidents in the house anymore, and she just has way more energy than they expected her to have at this point. And that's when I knew this wasn't just a hobby for me, that I actually loved what I was doing. I could see I was making a difference in helping owners and their dogs. So this is late 2020 at Service Sandals. Between now and then, I've had way more experience with more dogs and noticed that there is a common problem since COVID. And that is that there is higher anxiety rate in dogs. What causes anxiety is typically the fear of being left alone, also the fear of strangers, people or dogs. And some repercussions of this, I'm sure you guys have heard, excessive barking, excessive panting, more fearfully known as the destructive behavior, and also possible aggression. So with that being said, there's definitely an opportunity to help the community around us. Since COVID, over 23 million households adopted a pet, majority were dogs. 53% of dog owners believe that their dog does have separation anxiety. And through my own customer discovery, I found about 61% of dog owners, their dogs actually do have anxiety that they're aware of. So Beachy Buddies would like to provide custom care. What this looks like is a required meet and greet. I get to learn about you and your dog's needs and routine. Then I provide walks, which is great for brain activity, which reduces stress. Also overnight stays, which reduces the fear of being alone and hopefully reduces the possibility of destructive behavior. And that's a given, but I really like to focus on the 4 values listed above. Again, through customer discovery, I learned that most dog owners report at least wanting one of these when booking someone to watch their dog: experience, trust, convenience, knowledge. Knowledgeable, that kind of messed up there. But my biggest competitors right now are Rover and Family and Friends. Rover's great. You can just go on an app and book someone. And because they're on the app, they have experience, but they don't require meet and greet, so you don't really know if you can trust them. Also, Friends and Family, you trust them. It's a convenient option, but I'd say both competitors lack when it comes to knowledge, especially when it's anxiety in dogs. Because my experience, I've learned what the tells are, like I said, the panting, barking, and unfortunately, because of experiences, I know who to call and I know what to do that can reduce it. And I'll get back to that topic later in the slide. But currently, through direct sales, I'm helping people in Iowa City, North Liberty, Floraville, and Solon. I meet a lot of these people are my new clients through word of mouth. I'm currently working on a website to help reach more people in the community. The next step for me is to build revenue to then become, Then to become certified, I want to hire more employees and be able to train them to, match the values that I provide in every sit and walk. The employees therefore will help me grow Beachy Buddies. A long-term goal for my team is to have a dog daycare. But through the summer, I found with customer discovery that that's a completely different target market. So right now, I want to get my feet on the ground with the website, helping old, anxious dogs who are less, change is just more difficult for them. So I'm focusing on helping them first. And then hopefully when I do get on the ground, get a daycare to one day franchise. But in the meantime, being a full-time student while also working a part-time job, I can only give on average 28 hours a month. And that makes me about $185 a month, which isn't a lot. I mean, during like holidays, it picks up when I'm not in school. But The second bar, if I were to hire just one part-time employee that could work about 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, that alone could get up to just over $500. And if I were to times it by 4 with 4, just part-time employees, that go over $2,000 a month, which adds up to over 25,000 a year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is what I see in my near future. Yeah, all part-time employees is definitely doable. Excuse me, we're not distracted. But I'm proud to say that in the meantime, I have made over $3,000 of revenue on my own. Just the year and a half I've been doing this and the limited time I have. But with any additional revenue and support, my next goal, like I mentioned, was to become certified, to hire more employees to help me reach the community and hopefully reach beyond Iowa City, North Liberty. Also, I talked about having knowledge when it comes to dogs. My next step would be to partner with a behaviorist. They're not just a dog trainer, it's more standardized practice of dog care. So it focuses on the cognitive, it focuses on the cognitive aspect of dogs and therefore can help me and my employees be even more aware of symptoms of anxiety. And not even just that, maybe rescue dogs who have been abused and also disabled dogs. So I'd like to end with that PG Buddies isn't just for the owners, but it's here to help their bestest friends too. Feel free to contact me by emailing me, calling or texting me, and even talking to me after a million steps. Thank you.
Questions? I know.
Hi.
Could you talk to us about what kind of demand that you're seeing now? Like we continue working on this thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's on the side in here, but so for me alone, I would say on average I get like, depending on the month, I get at least 4 new requests every month, and because it's just me and I can only say yes to one, that prevents me from building long-term relationships with everyone else. So I'm missing out on like a couple $100 of revenue a month because of that. But like, for example, July alone, the last week of July, I said yes to one booking, which last week, and then I got 4 other requests not long after I accepted the first one. So that's just already a couple $100 of revenue each thing. And if I were to have employees, then I could be saying yes. And even though not the full amount would be going to me, I'd still be getting a percentage of that, which I can pocket and then use to reinvest in getting more insurance, getting that behaviorist certification, etc. There is demand.
Talk to us about your hourly rate. That seems really low.
Yeah, so that's another thing. As through customer discovery, I'm learning Iowa City people, it's a lot of college students, so they might not be willing to pay as much, but for half an hour walks, I charge $15 an hour. And then for an overnight stay, so per night it's about $65. But there are no operating costs for me when it comes to that, except for the gas to get there. Also, with the customer discovery, I'm finding that there's a higher demand in suburbs like Illinois. So maybe PG Buddies is going to be in Iowa City in the long term. I'd like to start here. Works now, but hopefully, as I get behaviors to increase my value, those rates can go up.
I don't need rate. And you can have a student discount, but I think that your rate is definitely.
Yeah.
For that, and I know, I need the pepper.
Oh yeah.
And peppers are really good. And I have my perfectly with 0. I do. And not, it's appreciated, but he's terrible, but he's got the guardian graders and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is an amazing.
Thank you. I came from humble beginnings of just trying to get a gig, so I started like 25 a night. And then over time I was like, okay, like gas is now like way more than $25. So increase that rate, especially if I have more. Yeah.
What would the like behaviorists be in comparison to like dog training?
Yeah. So dog training, dogs are easy, people aren't. Because if you have someone that's training your dog, the owner needs to then carry that out. But a behaviorist, it's a more standardized practice. Like I could go online and say that I'm a dog trainer and take a class, but a behaviorist, like you go to school for it, so it's a more standardized practice. And for them, it's easier to see like what your dog responds to, what their triggers are. And if they're food motivated, if they're like words of affirmation motivated, and therefore when I'm with your dog, I can carry out, I can make them more comfortable because I understand them better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like a really good service.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. It's all about, for me, making dogs more comfortable. I know I talked about sandals, but I experienced a dog where they were shaking because they were so anxious. And the owners didn't realize how severe their anxiety was. And I mean, I took all the steps. I took him for walks to like tire him out. I played games with him to distract him, but he was still so scared. And after that, I was like, I want to do more so this doesn't happen, and to at least reduce this for dogs. That was very traumatic for me, not ever seeing separation anxiety that bad, but there is a problem, and I would really like to just make it easier for dogs and owners right away. Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine owns, Buddy Puppy up there in Florida, and they focus towards dogs, so
Yeah.
talk to Tracy, like, this sort of partnership.
Where at again?
It's on First Avenue in Florida,
Okay,
right, just next to Mercury.
that's what I will follow. I will follow with you.
I think that, for partnership opportunities that you're getting started, and I know you've got a client opportunities to come down, but even getting in with, current dog behaviors or that instead of providing board services,
Yeah.
where you can kind of get in and get access to and just help them with their experience, they may be willing to pay you to come in and, you know, help these dogs, even though the owner is away.
Definitely. I do also want to volunteer at like adoption centers and work with them too, to hopefully, you know, when they get a new owner and they're concerned, like I have to work, like here's another person, just help each other, help them find dogs good homes and also provide a resource for the new dog owners too, also along with the local vets. Yeah, I definitely want to bless partnership.
And to your staff too, so show the staff maybe give your tips and tricks that you can help them.
What are you looking for your first employees?
What do you think?
What kind of experience, I have thought about
Yeah.
finding those people?
So obviously that makes me nervous because I don't want to have someone like, if they're a college student, like they're supposed to be overnight and then they like leave. So I would be looking for people who do have experience, maybe if it's safe for family or have their own dog. I also really want to utilize, and everyone has their own thing about it, like personality test. I want someone who's empathetic, who can like feel for the dog and feel compassion, or like harmony proof. Someone that I'm still figuring out how exactly to determine that, but somehow personality tests to see that they care enough about the dog, that they can sacrifice the night out, or that they can take the extra time to make sure that the dog goes to the bathroom, even if that's a longer walk, or make sure that they're eating at the same time every day. Still figuring that out, but again, just as personality.
Well, you mentioned certification. Who does that go through and what's the process?
So there's a few options online. This I'm trying to do more research on. I'll probably be talking to other trainers. I think to go through it is between $100 and $200. So it depends on the company. I am talking to a local trainer in Iowa City who provided some resources that this week I'm gonna be looking through. The whole point, the process is that I want to use that to be able to hire people. It's more so that I can then train them, but then eventually, if you, like I said, want a behaviorist that can maybe teach us more and then provide training for the whole group. Stuff I'm still doing research on, but I think the behaviorist would be really helpful in showing the right way to go with that. So maybe that might be my next step before actually becoming certified to hire people, getting more input from the actual behaviorist. Still figuring that out. Hopefully in the next 90 days.
Are the dogs that you sit and walk mostly trained? And then do you define dogs that like pull you or that weigh a ton?
Yeah. So some dogs are great and some are not. Typically I notice with little dogs and older dogs, people think that they don't need to train them anymore. And they're the ones that have the highest amount of anxiety, which can be difficult. It's difficult to figure out their needs. I do say yes, because again, I like to help and I love dogs. That's when I do meet and greets, I really try to figure out, all right, what's their routine? How do I know when they have to go to the bathroom? If they have anxiety, what triggers them? Is there anything they're scared of? Is there anything I should be mindful of? So even if they are difficult, I can at least keep to their routine and know that not to do this and they won't get as crazy. So right now I don't really have a limit, but because I have low demand, I just kind of stay with my current clients right now. So those I know very well. Again, I think it really helps to have another person on board, like the behavior someone that can help deal with those crazy, not so trained dogs. But most of the do sit are for the most part. Definitely on lunch.
So you talk about, eventually be hiring a lot of people to help with this. Talking about, well, maybe we're in shadow suburbs. Would you consider franchising this? To, the city one, the Edward
Oh, definitely.
franchise itself.
I would definitely love to be able, also, I graduate in a year and I'll probably stay in Iowa for the year after that. After that, I really want to leave the Midwest. So even if this is just a website, I would still love to carry this on in Iowa City and then experience how it goes in another city wherever I end up. And from there, if it is profitable, I can get a location, maybe start my most successful one. So if it is Iowa City, get a daycare, and if it works, try to build that somewhere else. I have a rough estimate of startup costs, but like I said, the most reasonable for me is to get some part-time employees in the next year to help. And from there, see if I could double it in the next year and then start realistically saving for those startup costs in the daycare, which is a lot. And I need a big girl job first too, to help have some money to invest.
What are you saying? I'm sorry.
I'm studying enterprise leadership. Business girl. Yeah.
What's your rough estimate for style cost?
For a daycare, it's about over $300,000. And that's for obviously building maintenance, the operating costs of electricity, fresh water. If I had a daycare, I would not want to do overnight kennels though. That's when I'd still want to keep the website where people can still book, because then we watch your dog overnight, it's less operating costs than to keep kennels going and keep power going all night. But yeah, it is a pretty hefty startup cost, but once you get going, if I could get, at Iowa City, you can have 15 dogs for one person, and if I charge $35 for each dog for a day overall. I've run these numbers in your class, so it's very generalized, bear with me, but after 2 years, it's definitely profitable. And at that point, that's, if all goes according to plan, I would begin trying to franchise it. There's a rough plan, rough idea.
Any other questions?
No.
Could you just briefly describe your ideal customer and user archetype? Like if we were to think about
Yeah.
the owner and the dog that would be the best fit for.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say I'll say yes to any of you if you need help with the dog. I love dogs. But I think right now I'm focusing on typically for people wise, double income, no kids. They just have typically more spendable income to pay for these services, and they tend to want to travel more. Kids are gone, so it's a party now. But for dogs, I'm realizing it really is older dogs. Probably once they hit like 9 and up, depending on the breed, they're less comfortable with change. So now that owners are back in the office after years of being home or a year of being home, they have way more anxiety. So I'd really like to focus on working with this group of dogs first, because I think they really need it, especially because the older dogs, they kind of, owners are like, that's just how they are, but it's not how they have to be. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. I'll still say yes to them. I love them.
For questions? If there aren't any, I'll ask our traditional final question. What can we as a community do to help?
So obviously customer discovery, I've heard it a million times. I just want to keep learning more about the industry, but also if anyone has connections with dog trainers or facilities that would be willing to talk to me, maybe let me know how they hire employees. That would be really helpful.
All right.